the best educated, they're the least prejudiced, they're the most open generation in American history. And although I have no scientific basis for what I'm about to say, but those of you who are over 50, how often did you ever see advertisements on television with black and white couples? Not a joke. I challenge you. Find today, when you turn on the stations, sit on one station for 2 hours, and I don't know how many commercials you'll see. Like 8 to 5. 2 to 3 out of 5 have mixed race couples in them. That's not by accident. They're selling soap, man. Not a joke. Remember old Pat Caddell used to say, you want to know what's happening in American culture?
We're talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We're talking about practice. Not a game. Not the game that I go out there and die for and play every game like it's my last. Not the game. We're talking about practice, man. I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice. I know I'm supposed to be there. I know I'm supposed to lead by example. I know that. And I'm not shoving it aside, like it don't mean anything. I know it's important. I do. I honestly do. But we talking about practice, man. What are we talking about? Practice?
We talking about soap, man. We talking about soap. Information man, what's good with you, brother? His speech was empty. As a matter of fact, I don't listen to every one of his speeches, but he pieced together several campaign speeches in Tulsa. He had a campaign speech medley in Tulsa. And then he just intertwined about the elders who are still living and then the other descendants. He started out the whole day, brother, so disrespectfully. I didn't know exactly what they was doing. He always gets up there. He wants to make these impactful moments. So if you watched it from the very, very beginning, after the sister gave him, I didn't even know who she was talking about. She was giving up an introduction. I had no idea who she was talking about. But if you watched it from the beginning, when he walked down off that stage, and I thought he was going to walk, to one of the elders, to be honest with you. Maybe one of the descendants, maybe one of their kids, maybe, I don't know. He's the kissing baby, kissing old lady type. So I knew he was trying to make some type of moment. And I ain't got nothing against the two little girls that he talked to. But in a massacre that's about black people getting killed, brutalized, pushed out, territory gentrified, how did you find two little white girls in the front to talk to? There was no little black kids in that audience. There was no teenagers in that audience. There was no young black people in that audience. He found two little white kids to go, and he talking about, I just want to make sure they got some ice cream after the speech or whatever. And I'm just like, man, we live in a world of symbolism. His speech was so empty. I mean, you knew it was going to be empty because you knew the elders weren't getting anything. They literally didn't get anything out of this. Now it's come and gone. We're on the third day. They had May 31st and May 1st. Now we're on to talking about something else. I know they still want to talk about the graves and all that other stuff, but the elders got nothing. He made a big deal about him being the first president in 100 years to come to Tulsa. So with you being the first president in 100 years coming to Tulsa, you still didn't want to do nothing? They were supposed to get reparations 20 years ago. You didn't come with your checkbook? See, you had to know this was going nowhere from the beginning. I did. know it was going nowhere. I mean, he solely said he's not responsible for anything that happened before he got here. He said that. So why would he think about doing something now? And 20 years ago, I don't know who was talking about giving them reparations, but it obviously wasn't a president who was talking seriously, because the president ain't been there in 100 years. In 100 years. And I didn't know this. Barack Obama? You trying to tell me that Barack Obama didn't go to Tulsa? I know he didn't do shit else for us anyway, but Barack Obama didn't go to Tulsa? I thought Barack Obama at least went to Tulsa. Michelle Obama didn't go to Tulsa? We had the first black president come and go. In 8 years, Barack Obama never touched down in Tulsa? Damn. He didn't even campaign in Tulsa? I mean, Joe Biden drops little nuggets. He drops little nuggets to make Barack look bad, and that was another little nugget. He said before what he's done has been better than what Obama did. He tries to separate himself from Obama's legacy every chance he gets. And right then, he did it again. In 100 years, a president ain't been there. And he might as well have said, President Obama didn't even come here. And he's black. What's happening, Sue? But I'm not getting this, brother. I'm not getting why they keep parading these people out if they're not going to do anything. And is it because that they need to do this to really keep up the benign neglect? I mean, it just becomes neglect, I guess, if you don't say something, act like you're going to do something and then don't do nothing. Then it's just neglect. It's not benign neglect. I'm really tripping. He got up there and started talking about mixed couples. And I'm appalled about that. For one, black people and white people can rarely use the same type of soaps. We can rarely use the same type of soap because we got different skin makeups. So how dare you say that we can all use the same kind of soap? Mixed races in soap commercials. This is what he gave us. Soap commercials. This is what's bringing the country together. Interracial people, couples in advertisements. They're selling soap, man. We're talking about soap. We're not talking about reparations. We're not talking about repair. We're not talking about redress. We're not talking about recompense. We're talking about soap. Forget that 246 years of slavery. Forget that 156 years of systemic oppression. We're talking about soap. Forget George Floyd being killed and the 1,000 people being killed after George Floyd in the next 365 days by police. We're talking about soap. Soap. We're talking about soap. I mean, what are we going to do if we can't get past symbolism? You got the Congressional Black Caucus out there twerking, cutting the rug. I mean, I'm offended personally. I'm going to be honest with you. And I wore this shit. I wore this shit back in the day. I wore the kente cloth and all that shit, the crowns and all that shit. I wore all that shit. African medallions, whatever. But I'm offended when I see people in Congress put all that kente cloth on and shit, I'm offended. Because y'all repping people that sold my people over here. So people like Sheila Jackson Lee, she's repping people that sold us to get over here. We're Americans. We ain't got no connection to Africa. We have no connection to there. We might be people of African descent, but that's where it stops. That's where it stops. We're Americans. And maybe them not treating us like Americans, maybe that's why they want us to salute the kente cloth and salute all that other shit. But I can't do that. I don't know anybody in Africa. Nobody, not one person. I mean, Nancy Pelosi draped in kente cloth. How disrespectful. She got a connection with your percussions and all that. I get that, brother. I get that. We know where the drum comes from. I get all that. But I'm talking about you're not wearing it from a symbolic state. You're wearing it because you got a connection with your percussion. That's part of your craft. There is an absolute reason why you wear African garb when you are drumming. There is absolutely no reason why Sheila Jackson Lee, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, or any of them should be wearing kente cloth on camera. I don't get it. It's all symbolism. And it spells absolutely nothing for us. This shit done came and went. And these people got nothing. They're going to die with nothing. They got a hollow speech and some Air Jordans. It was so disheartening to hear that curator in that museum. She talked about how Black Wall Street tried to make a comeback. People from all over the country sending money, trying to help them rebuild businesses, put an infrastructure back together. And the main reason that it didn't work out, see, they want to talk about redlining. And we know they blew the freeway system through there and all that. But they want to blame it on redlining and all that. But the main reason that Black Wall Street 2.0 did not work was because black people wouldn't patronize. They started to go to everywhere else. You didn't want to just go to one of your local diners and get a burger. They started going to McDonald's or whoever was serving burgers. I don't know when McDonald's started, but I know they started going to all the other restaurants. That was the main reason that it wasn't successful, because of integration. Integration killed Black Wall Street 2.0. I don't know, my brothers. I don't know, my sisters. I put up a little post today on Facebook just asking, why can't we unify? And it's more of an internal problem than anything. It's at least what everybody seems to say, because we can't pull it together. I mean, we know systemically what we're against, but we can't even get together. And I get it. I get it. It's like, how do you not get on the same page when you know that your people need the same thing? Is it because everybody wants to be the man, the woman, the boss, the G? What I mean, I don't get it. How you gonna be any of that when you broke? when the resources are not coming our way at all? How you gonna be the man? Who's the man if you're broke? We gotta show our shit. We gotta show everybody what we got. And when we got nothing, where you got people that got everything and they don't show you shit. How did we get it so twisted? I mean, and those memes are always correct when they show a Bill Gates or a Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos or whomever. They show them in pictures. They look like they got about $50, $60 worth of clothes on, shoes included. Not us. Billionaires might have on $50, $60 worth of shit. You get that motherfucker who makes $44,000 at the plant, and you'd swear he's just stepped off the stage. I don't get it. Or what's even worse is a motherfucker who ain't getting a stub, and he wants to really lay it all on the line. He's the first one to show you his $500 belt. We are lost, brother. We are lost. Oh, we could riot, but what are we really fighting for at this point? What are we really? And here's the thing: we know they'll kill us with full impunity, so they have no problem. Like, you know what? That's all black people down there. We can just do drop some bombs on them, because that's what they did in Tulsa. In Tulsa, they weren't trying to protect land, preserve land, even though they would take it over and gentrify it and build their own businesses on it. They weren't thinking that far ahead. They dropped bombs from planes and leveled buildings. You can look at those structures. Those structures didn't just burn down. They were leveled with bombs. They pushed people out with gases. I'm not sure exactly what rioting would do. I'm sure they could figure out that what we would do is an insurrection. They ain't been able to figure that out from January 6th, but they'd be able to pinpoint what we did was an insurrection. It's disheartening. You got people on the ground out here who really have the knowledge, and I believe that if they're just connected politically with the right people, they can really help us push this needle forward. Where I was talking to somebody about 2022, and I was like, we need to figure out who in the CBC is up for re-election in 22. Because the fire needs to be put on them in all the states that they represent, whoever's up for re-election in 22, and let them know you're not getting back in there unless your agenda starts turning towards Black Americans, Native Black Americans, people of African descent, not people who just came over here from Africa. Unless that's where your agenda is lying, you won't be getting the black vote. And I know politics, at least black politics, They don't really go up in the churches. White politicians are fearless. They'll go up in a black church in a heartbeat. But how come the black politicians don't go up in the black churches? And I'm not talking about sitting there clapping with them niggas and saying what they want to hear just so you get their vote. I'm talking about real black agendas. Because we got a few black politicians. That's what they do. They pander, and they don't do nothing either. They're acting for the dominant society too. We need black politicians that were advocating for us and that are activating for us. Put shit in play. If not, we don't need you. We don't need you. Hell, white politicians is not going to do for us, just like you're not going to do for us. Okay. If we get good candidates and somehow we just don't get behind them. But we'll get behind that slick talking motherfucker who's not going to do anything for us. I don't get that. It is what it is. I done rode through 3 counties, so hopefully the stream stayed up. And we got a lot of work to do. Lots. Brother Knowledge, be good. I don't even think they got a seat, brother. I think they got a tray with a linen over their arm. I don't think they seated. I think they serve it. One love.